Hey guys, welcome back again to Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, where the proof is in the singing. We got a lot of requests for this one, and that is, how can I hold a note? Or how can I sustain a note long, or hold a high note for a long period of time? Well, it turns out there's lots of answers to that question. It's not one answer that's going to suffice. So I'm going to have to break this down so we can explain some things. The first thing is that, are you asking, how can I hold a note in a lower register, or a mid-voice register, or a higher register, because that's really important, and I'm going to break this down and explain it. The second thing is what is your vocal Fach, F-A-C-H, or your vocal type? That's the German way of just saying, what is your, are you a baritone, are you a tenor? Now, I patently I'm a baritone, and let me explain to you what that means. I'm going to go, oh, right? I think that's I want to say that's a C sharp 2, if I'm not mistaken. Let me grab a guitar really quick and make sure here. Yeah, it's a C sharp 2. It's a really low note. Well, a tenor can't do that. A tenor, even a low tenor, can't sing that note really low. Very unusual if he's able to do that. So the reason I bring it up is because I want you to understand what your vocal type is, because this is important. And then what do you mean by, can I hold a note? A high note, this note, a note in your head voice or falsetto, a note, hold a note in your mixed voice, hold a note in your chest voice, belting, or a light airy sound, because all these things matter. So let me explain why. So when we sing low, the chords or our folds, they vibrate slowly. Whoa, 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 whoa. And they're, they vibrate really slowly. And so it requires more air to pass across the chords to get them to vibrate. Now, there are exceptions to this if we understand glottal compression, and I cover all this in my singing course called How to Sing Better Than Anyone Else. But within this, what happens is that if it requires more air, believe it or not, it's easier to sustain a higher note or to hold a note in a higher registration in your belting chest register, or in your very high falsetto and or head voice register, depending on your voice type again. And if you're a lyric tenor, or there's all these different things that come into play. So I bring this up. So the lower the note. Now I want to give you guys a template to follow. So sing a note with me. I'm gonna kind of blow through something for a second. It's gonna sound stupid. I'm not trying to be on pitch or anything, but Okay, so that was the max amount of lung capacity if I'm not compressing air, okay? At least for me, maybe you're different, but if I compress that air, and I literally compress it at the glottis, and I hold my breath, and I go, right? I have a lot more room there for the amount of air how I can sustain a note. Now, why this becomes even increasingly important is it depends on in what registration or where in your register you're trying to hold this note. So the higher up I go, because again, like I said before, as I'm in a lower registration and I'm compressing the note at the glottis, it requires more air because the folds are moving more slowly. They go whoa, 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 right? The higher up I go, the faster they move. Now, you can blow out a lot of air if I go, hey, right? That's all I got. If I'm using a lot of air, that's it. If I come back, by the way, there's a really cool tool on the internet for this. It's called Power Lung. Look it up, Power Lung. I don't use it, but I have other students that do, that can increase inhalation and exhalation lung capacity. So check this out. But if I'm holding my breath back in the same exact note that I just did, I go, right? Now, I could go a lot longer than that, but I just want to kind of give you an example where I can conserve energy and conserve the breath and control, mitigate, again, compress that amount of air. So when I go up really high, it again, it becomes different because if I'm in falsetto, I use a lot of air. If I'm really in a really compressed head voice sound, or if I'm belting up really high, I can hold the breath for a really long time. Let me give you a couple quick examples of this. I'm going to show you some recordings of some recent stuff I've done where you can hear me holding the breath within the context of a song. Check this out. As we go up the food chain, or as the chords oscillate faster, it requires less air if you know how to compress the air. Now there's a slight danger in this about just holding back the breath and just holding it and trying to compress the air, because it's very similar to when we kind of choke off a chord going, hey, how you doing? I'm doing all right. When we're kind of pinching and squeezing in the throat. So it's really important to want to develop open throat technique first, so that the muscle structure stays open first. I covered all this in my singing course, how to sing better than anyone else, so that we can sustain that first, so the sound sounds open and not constricted, and then we can cut back that air. Now, if we get into our head voice register, or our falsetto register, if I go, singing like an R&B sort of sound, that's all I got. I don't got much more than that. I just expelled all the air, expunged all the air that I have, right? I used it up. But if I can compress that sound and make it nice and bright, I can get a lot more extension out of that sound. I'm still using up a lot more air than I did in my chest register. And by the way, if I'm killing it and belting it really high, I can go longer than that, of course. And I'm not sitting here trying to bore you with how long Tamplin can hold his voice. But I want you to gauge yourself and go, hey man, hit the clock. Can I go as long as can, right? Like, do a little contest with yourself. And the reason is because then you'll understand how much control you can or cannot have. Now, one last thing is, when we do this, it's not just about holding a note, a long note. It's about how we can make that note sound beautiful, how we use correct vowel modifications for that sound, big, round, beautiful sounds. And when resonance takes over and we're not pushing or killing ourselves or trying to use too much air in the sound, all of a sudden we can open up to a sound I'm not using more, believe it or not, I'm not using more air to get more volume. I'm actually compressing the air, the glottis, controlling the sound using my diaphragm to do all my work to get a larger or a bigger or more voluminous, more volume, more amplified sound in order to create and take one sound, not just to be able to hold a note, but to hold a note for a reason, for good sound, okay? I hope you guys benefited from this. Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, where the proof is in the singing, and I'm answering your questions, so keep them coming, and until next time, peace out.